Welcome student in another session of grade 11 science biology chapter 1. In this video we will discuss about the chapter 1 living world. Before starting the chapter living world, let us discuss what is a life. Life is a unique complex organization of molecules inside the cell expressing through chemical reactions which lead to growth, development, responsiveness, adaptation, and reproduction. So, a living organism is self-replicating, evolving, and self-regulating. The interaction, it has the interactive system that is capable of responding to external stimuli. Now let's discuss about the properties of living organisms. The properties of living organisms are growth, reproduction, metabolism, cellular organization, and consciousness. We will learn one by one all of these properties. First, let's start with the growth. Growth, it is the increase in number of cells and mass of cells by cell division. So, an living organism shows the tendency of growth in which number of cells increases as well as mass of the cell increases by cell division. In plants, growth continues throughout their lifespan. In plants, if you observe it properly, they grow throughout their lifespan, but in animals, growth is only observable up to a certain age. However, cell divisions is taking place to replace the lost cells. So basically, a growth is the increase in mass and size. Thus, non-living objects also grow. So growth is not a defining property of living organisms. In living organism, growth is from inside, whereas in non-living, you can see sedimentation. Here the example is given of the mountains. Accumulation of material takes place that is outside. So growth is not categorized as the only property of living. The next property is reproduction. Reproduction, it is the production of progeny having features which are similar to that of the parents. Organisms reproduce sexually as well as asexually. In unicellular organisms, growth and reproductions are same because they reproduce by cell division. So again, reproduction also we can't use as a defining property because there are many organisms that do not reproduce. Those are sterile, that is infertile human couples, mules, and worker bees. So reproduction is not a perfect defining property of living organism. Next property is metabolism. What is a metabolism? It is sum total of all biochemical reactions that are taking place inside the living system. That is sum of catabolic and sum of anabolic reactions that takes place inside a living system. It is a defining feature of living organism. Among growth, reproduction, and metabolism, metabolism is a defining feature for categorizing of or the defining feature of living organism. Metabolic reactions can be demonstrated outside the body in cell-free systems. So metabolic reactions we can demonstrate outside the cell. A simple example is we can conduct an experiment or we can study the action of amylase in the laboratories, right? So If enzymes are involved, we can demonstrate the metabolic reaction outside the cell. Isolated metabolic reactions in vitro are not living things but are living reactions. Next one is cellular organization. Organisms are made up of one or more cells. It is the defining feature of living organism. That means all the living organisms are made up of cells. So cellular organization is one of the important characteristic or features of living organism. Last one is consciousness. Consciousness, it is the ability of organisms to sense their environment and respond to environmental stimuli. Stimuli like light, water, temperature, other organisms, chemicals, pollutant, etc. So living organism shows a response. They show the response towards the environment using their sense organs, right? Stimuli are one that brings the response, that brings the change in an organism's body. And such stimuli are light, water, temperature, other organisms, chemical, pollutants, etc. So these are the properties, basic features, or the properties of living organism. All living organisms are aware of their surroundings, so it is the defining property of living organism. So among all, metabolism, cellular organisms, and consciousness are the main important parts of properties of living organism. Human is the only organism that have self-consciousness. So we are now moving ahead with a new topic of the chapter, that is diversity in living world. Diversity in living world, that is biodiversity, is life, is our life, right? The number and types of organisms present on earth refers to as biodiversity. The number of species described till now is 1.7 to 1.8 millions. Taxonomy, it is a term that defines the study of identification, classification, and nomenclature of organisms. Systematics is another branch which deals with evolutionary relationship between organisms. The systematic is comprises from the Latin systema, which means systematic arrangement. Systematic Natura is a book that is written by Linnaeus that have many such systematic study of different kind of varieties of organisms. What are the basic processes of taxonomy? The basic processes of taxonomy are characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature. So these are the basic characterization that are useful in taxonomy. Let's discuss one by one each of these. Characterization. Characterization is understanding of characters of organisms such as external and internal structure, structure of the cell, development, how the organism is developing, what is the development process that is taking place, and what are the ecological information in which habitat the organism is living. So basically characterization comprises of external and internal structures. The second step of taxonomy is identification. It is a correct description of organisms so that naming is possible. For example, for instance, if you have two different types of plants, the unknown plants, then there must be some identification or difference between both the plant or characteristic feature of the plants that make the different from each other. So that is the identification which promises us the correct description of organism so that it is possible for us to name it. The third one is classification. It is the grouping of organism into convenient categories based on characters. Once you have done the characterization, identification, then comes the classification. And lastly, once you have finished with characterization, identification, classification, the last one is nomenclature. Nomenclature is the standardization of names of organism such that an organism is known by the same name all over the world. Like mango, it is given, I'm a Magnifera indica. So Magnifera indica is scientific name of mango, and Apis indica is the scientific name of bee. The system of naming with two components is called binomial nomenclature. So today we are using binomial nomenclature to name any organism, living organism. All the living organism, they have the specific scientific name to name. First name indicates the genus, that is genus, and another one is the species. This system of naming was proposed by Carolus Linnaeus. Botanical names are based on the rules given by ICBN, and zoological name are on the basis of ICZN. So ICBN is the one that gives us the rules for naming plants. ICBN is for plants. That the full form of ICBN is International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, and ICZN is for animals, and the full form of ICZN is International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. Here two examples are given. One of a mango, which is the scientific name of mango is Magnifera indica, and scientific name of tiger is Panthera tigris. Now we will learn about the universal rules of binomial nomenclature, how to write a scientific name. Scientific names are in Latin or Latinized and written in italics. When handwritten, they are underlined separately. So we need to underline the scientific names separately. Here the example is given. Magnifera is separated, underlined, and indica is also separately underlined. The first word is genus. Here then in the example is given Homo and Magnifera. And the second one is of the species Sapiens and Indica. Genus always starts with the capital letter and species name with small letter. Author name in abbreviated form appears at the end of biological name. So these are the rules of writing binomial nomenclature. Now we are moving ahead with taxonomic categories. Classification involves hierarchy of steps in which each step represents a rank. So here each step is representing a rank. All categories together constitute a taxonomic hierarchy. Each category represents a unit of classification, a group of organisms occupying a particular category, let's say a genus or the species or the family. It represents a taxon, for example, a mammalia. So what is the hierarchy of classification? The hierarchy of classification is kingdom. First come the kingdom, then phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. If we move from top to bottom, similarities between the organism increases and dissimilarity decreases. Whereas if we go from bottom to top, the relation is opposite. That means differences increases and similarities reduces. So one example is given of Homo sapiens. Kingdom is Animalia. Phylum is Chordata. Class is Mammalia. Order Primata. Family is Hominidae. Genus is Homo. And species is sapiens. So here you can see the classification of Homo sapiens, that is human. So now we'll go ahead with the taxonomic categories one by one in detail, the definition or the meaning. First, we'll start with species. Species, it is a group of closely related organisms that are capable of interbreeding to produce fertile offspring. It is the lowest category. Next comes the genus. It is the aggregates of closely related species. Here on your screen, you can see different types of genus like Solanum, which comprises of potato, tomatoes, and brinjal. Panthera, lion, leopard, and tiger. Felis contain house cat and jungle cat. So here you can see a genus is an aggregate of closely related species. Next comes the family, which is a group of related genera. Order, it is the assembling of related families. Class, which is related order. Phylum or the division, it is assemblage of related classes. In case of plants, the related classes forms the division. So here, phylum is used for animals and division word is used for plants. Lastly is the kingdom, the assemblage of related phylum or division. It is the highest category with least similarities, right? So here you can see kingdom Plantae, they have angiosperms and gymnosperm. Divisions are angiosperms and gymnosperm, whereas Animalia having phylum Chordata and Arthropoda. So in kingdom, you'll find the organism with basic characteristic, whereas in species, you will find specific characteristic. One more example, kingdom Animalia. The categories with the example, kingdom is Animalia, phylum is Chordata, class is Mammalia, order is Carnivora, family Felidae. Now, one thing that we need to remember is family. Family always ends with AE, right? So we need to remember this point. Wherever in the next chapters we'll have such families, we'll be discussing about the families. So it ends with AE. Genus is Panthera and species is Tigris. So in first we have learned about the humans. Now we are learning about the tigers. This is the classification, taxonomic categories with examples of animals. Last organism with their taxonomic categories. This is from a NCERT only. So we need to remember, we'll just go through it. The first one is the common name, man. Biological name is Homo sapiens. Genus is Homo, Homidae, Primata, Mammalia, and Chordata. Same with houseplant, mango, and wheat. Here you can see family always ends with AE. So this point we need to remember. Housefly is example of Arthropoda, mango is example of angiosperm, and again wheat is also example of angiosperm. So in this chapter, we have discussed about the diversity, biodiversity, classification, what is systematics, what are the taxa, what is taxonomy, and taxonomic categories. Thank you for watching.